How's it going, everyone? ND Sean 45 coming at you. Now, as you guys can tell from the title of this video is in no way football related whatsoever. I'm taking this time to be 100% real with you guys. Well, I'm always 100% real with you guys, but what I'm getting at is what I have to say here in this video is way more important than football. But I will say this for starters. I was very happy to see the Irish get the bid to the Fiesta Bowl to play a top quality opponent in Ohio State. I like that matchup. Gives the Irish a chance to finish the season on a strong note and to make a statement and get some momentum going into spring practice and over into next season as well. Now, personally, guys, I really would have liked the chance to have played the Iowa Hawkeyes. Because I grew up in an area that was loaded with Hawkeye fans, and after the Big Ten championship game, I thought, finally, we get that opportunity. But I'm not going to complain about playing Ohio State either. Either one would have been a good matchup. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Moving on. Now you see, guys, I had actually wanted to make this video a while ago, but I wanted to stay focused on the rest of the regular season. But now that we have a little break in between now and the Fiesta Bowl, I thought this would be a good time to make this video. Because I just have some things that I want to say, just from different things that I read every day, things that I hear people say. I'm tired of being quiet. I'm going to say some things that are on my mind as well. And it just, now is that time. But, before I go any further, I want to give everyone watching this video a fair warning. Number one, if you are one who hates discussion on religion, you might want to turn the video off now. Number two, if you are one who hates discussion on social issues or anything related to it, you might want to turn the video off now. And number three, if you are one who is a secular left-wing liberal and have those beliefs on certain issues, you might want to turn the video off now, because you're really not going to like what you hear. So there you go. If you decide from this point on that you want to watch the whole video, and after you watch it, if you're all angry and pissed off, you have nobody to blame but yourself, because I gave you a fair warning. So, with that said, on to the topic of this video. Now, several weeks ago, Uncle Lou, a user on here, he had made a video that was talking about the whole situation with Christians and the whole Starbucks ordeal and all that. And Uncle Lou, if you're watching this video, I just want to make it very clear to you, dude, that this is not me calling you out, okay? So please don't think that, because that's not my intention here. I'm just expressing my views and opinions and thoughts on that issue, and amongst other things as well. So this, again, not calling you out, dude. Just so that's clear. But anyway, I'm not just talking about the whole Starbucks thing in this video. There's several other things that I'm going to talk about as well. It's going to be a lot of things, so if I sound like I'm all over the place, I apologize, but that just tends to happen when you have a lot on your mind. But starting with the whole Starbucks thing, I mean, those of you who read the news, you know what that is. Some time ago, actually last month in November, I'm not sure when it happened actually, but Starbucks decided that they were going to take the phrase Merry Christmas off of their cups. And for the record, people, I don't give a crap about Starbucks. I don't even drink coffee. So, myself personally, Starbucks means nothing to me. But anyway, so they took the phrase Merry Christmas off their cups. So what their Christian customers started doing was, and I'm not sure how the ordering process works at Starbucks. I don't know if they call out your name or whatever. But their Christian customers started requesting their cups have the name Merry Christmas on it. So that way they would have to call it, the person behind the counter would have to call that out or whatever, something like that. Now just offering my personal opinion on it. Being a Christian man myself, uh, even I think that was a little ridiculous, a little out of hand. I mean, it's a coffee cup for crying out loud. A very, very small thing. Even Candace Cameron Bure came out and said that it wasn't offensive what Starbucks was doing, and nobody should have been bugged by it. And myself personally, that says a lot coming from her, because anyone who knows her and her brother Kurt Cameron, they all know how open and outspoken they both have been about their Christian faith and their views and holding true to the gospel, living their lives by it. And for those of you who don't know who Candace Cameron Bure is, she played DJ on the TV show Full House. But yeah, I mean, that it was a very small thing to get all worked up about, and did you have to take it that far? Their Starbucks Christian customers, no, they didn't. However, though, after thinking about it and having some time to process the whole thing, I can understand why they did that. I really can. Because even though it was a small thing, what this country, from what I've seen, and a lot of us have seen, this has always been going on to some degree, but in the last few years, it has just spiraled ridiculously out of control. This repetitive wheel that keeps on turning of Christian persecution in America. And some of you are hearing that phrase, Christian persecution, and going, "Oh, what are you talking about, Sean? Now you're just talking nonsense." Actually, no, I'm not. Now, am I saying that Christians are being killed for believing in God and practicing their Christian faith? No, I'm not. I mean, overseas they are, and that's a fact, but I'm not talking about overseas. I'm talking about here in America. So no, are Christians being killed here in America for believing in their Christian faith and believing in God? No. But this thing at Starbucks, even though it's ridiculous what those Christian customers did in regards to the cup thing, like I said, I can see why they did it, because there's been a lot of things these last few years going on that it just, this bullying of Christians, things like, atheist organizations getting Christian symbols, things like nativities and like nativity scenes and crosses removed off of public ground. You also have things like Christian business owners being bullied by homosexual couples for not going against their faith and providing their services for a ceremony who mocks their faith. Meanwhile, the homosexual and pro-homosexual business owners, they can practice their business based on whatever belief they want, and they can turn down whoever they want without repercussion. All the while, the Christian business owners who do that, they get sued. When they get sued, they get punished by the government. But no, it doesn't happen to the homosexual and pro-homosexual business owners. So yeah, that's another thing. You have people like that football coach. I believe his name is Joe Kennedy, up at a school in Washington State. He's been fired from the school for refusing to stop praying after football games. And the funny thing is, last time I checked, freedom of religion is covered by the First Amendment. But the thing is, the big stink that people were making up there was that he was praying with his students. Well, first off, to make things clear, I did my own research into that. In no way was he forcing his players to pray with him. They were coming over and joining him on their own. So he started off praying by himself, but those players joined with him. And the funny thing is, with that whole situation, he's punished and fired from his job because he wouldn't stop, but yet their offensive coordinator is a Buddhist. He says prayers to Buddha after games. He still has his job. And they also just had, with that whole situation, there was a satanic organization up there that, I think, out of Seattle, that came to that game. And nobody said a damn thing about that. So it's one thing after another in this country. So you can't have Christian stuff, but yet it's okay for schools, for example, to offer things like classes for Islam. Um, on top of that, we have our own president who claims to be a Christian, which we all know he's really not. He does things like mock the Bible on national TV. During the annual playing of Charlie Brown Christmas, he seems to think that the true meaning of Christmas is about tiny little trees. And just for the record, people, if you don't believe me on any of this stuff, I will have links provided down below to every single thing that I talk about. And if I happen to miss one, just send me a message and I'll get it on there. But on top of that, you also have I think it was the police chief down in Atlanta, Georgia. He was let go from his job because he wrote a personal book. He published his own book on his own time, in his own Bible study outside of his work, talking about him believing in natural marriage between one man, one woman. So yes, there is Christian persecution going on in this country. The only difference is they are not being killed. And I never said they were being killed. But it's funny how, like I said, all these secular left wing atheist types. And for the record, so nobody thinks that I'm lumping people together, I am not saying that it is every single left wing secular atheist, pro choicer, pro LGBT person. I'm only talking about the people who are actually stirring the pot, actually doing the complaining, causing the problems, that kind of thing. So no, I'm not saying it's every single one of them, but it's just things like that, you know. But going back to what I was saying, it's not okay in this country to have Christian practices or public displays of Christian faith, but yet, there's like in school programs, for example, school Christmas programs and all that. The choirs can no longer sing songs like "Joy to the World" or "Away in a Manger" or "Oh Holy Night," any song praising Christ. But yet there was a school in Minnesota a couple nights ago. I forget which town it was, but their choir sang a song with the phrase "Akular Akbar" or however you say it. But it was a song praising Allah. It was an Islamic song. So why is it that stuff is okay, but you can't have Christian stuff in the public square, in schools, on public property? I mean, this is straight up hypocritical BS. That's the stuff that I'm tired of. Now here's the thing, people. When it comes to, I've done a lot of talking about, secular left-wing atheist types and all that. Now when it comes to atheists, and let me just say this for starters. I think, in my opinion, every single person on this planet, they all should come to Christ. They should all come and follow and accept Jesus Christ as their saviors. Or excuse me, as their savior. Now I know some people are saying, "Whoa, I'm totally pissed off at you for saying that right now, Sean." Well, let me finish. I know you can't force people to do that. I mean, I think regardless of any of you who are watching this video, I think we all can agree, Christian, non-Christian, atheist, whatever, every man and woman has the free will to walk their own path. And I do agree with that. You can't make people believe in God and accept Jesus Christ as their savior. They have to do that on their own if they opt to do so. And the thing is, I'm not even saying that people who don't do that are a bad person. But atheists, for example, I'm not saying that atheists are bad people. I'm not saying that they can't be moral people. Never have I said that, nor do I think that. I mean, maybe with the radicals, it's a different story, but I'm not saying a person is evil just because they choose not to believe in God. See, my problem with and I'm not just talking atheists here, any person who is a non-believer or whatever, which is mainly atheists. My problem is not that a person is a non-believer. The one hypocrisy that I can see is, all these people, these left-wing secularists who are of that type, they're always telling people like myself, a person who is Christian and has conservative morals and values, believes in things like one man, one woman, who is pro-life, who has accepted Christ as his Savior. And I'm not saying this to make Christians or to put Christians in a perfect light. No, we are not perfect. I am not perfect. I am a sinful human being who makes mistakes all the time, as is everybody else. So we Christians screw up just like everybody else does. What I'm getting at is this. You go to, at least I have, you go to any comment section of any YouTube video or online article in those comment sections about, and these are articles that are usually about social issues, religion, or any of that stuff. You go to those comment sections and you see comment after comment after comment. These are the same comments I've seen over and over, but it's usually of some non-believer bad-mouthing the Christian faith. And the basic ones I hear all the time are this. The Bible is written by man. The Bible is nothing but a book of fairy tales. You believe in an invisible man in the sky. Your God doesn't exist. What's another good one that I hear all the time? Basically anything equating believing in God to believing in Santa Claus. And do I dare forget to mention the infamous shellfish comment that I hear all the time from atheists and other non-believers. Well, just to get that out of the way, the whole shellfish thing, that was not a law that God made for the whole world. I believe that was only an Israeli law back in the day. Okay, so it wasn't for the whole world. I know that much. But no, but anyway, those other comments, those insults, those are just the G-rated ones. I've seen much worse than that. My big problem is with all these left-wing secular atheist types, these are the same people that are telling people like me, "Oh, you have to love Sean, love everybody, tolerate and love other viewpoints. Don't hate, don't be a bigot." But yet I see comment after comment after comment like that on these videos and these comment sections of articles and whatnot. Some of the most filthy and horrendous and hateful comments you have ever seen in your life. And these people are telling me that I'm a hateful bigot? Give me a break. See, because when you take it past, hey, if you're an atheist, if you take it past, hey, I don't believe in God, and you start bad mouthing the faith, I'd like to know how that's not hate speech. So, all I'm saying is don't be calling, well, some people are going to be like, well, it's free speech, Sean, it's free speech. Because I know someone's going to chime in with that. But, yes, it is free speech. They can say it if they want. I'm not stopping them. The only point that I'm getting at is, if you're going to be bad-mouthing my faith and making hateful and bigoted comments towards that, don't tell me that I have to be tolerant when you're doing everything that you're accusing me of doing. That's the thing. I hear that all the time. It's these left-wing secularists. They're always accusing us Christians of being hateful bigots and all that because we don't agree with them. But yet you look at their comments and their actions, they do the same things that they accuse us of doing. And again, as I said earlier in this video, I'm not saying it's every single one of them. I'm strictly talking about the people who take that action. Because the ones who just stay off to the side, don't say anything, don't do anything, whatever, I have no problem with them. I'm talking about the straight up hypocrites. The people that are doing the hating, and yet they tell me that I'm being hateful, basically calling the kettle black. So, yeah. So that's the thing. When you are a non-believer and you start bad-mouthing the Christian faith, you take it past being, I don't believe in God. That's not what I believe in. You know, when you like, because like equating believing in God to believing in Santa Claus, that is hate speech. That is bigotry. Anytime you badmouth something like the Bible or God or a person for believing in God, that is hate speech. So that's my main thing, is these are the same people that are telling, telling Christians that, oh, they need to be tolerant and love everybody and yada yada yada, but yet they're not practicing what they're preaching. So I probably wasted a good 5 minutes repeating myself there, but sorry, it happens. I get fired up, and that's just what happens sometimes. It's a load of hypocritical BS that I've seen going on in this country. The Christian persecution is there. And anyone who thinks that it's not, you're out of your minds if you don't believe it's not there. Because there's clear-cut examples of it. It's just, and I don't really know what else to say about it. I mean, I think the big problem too is political correctness. A lot of people in this country have allowed their lives to be run by political correctness. I mean, you can't even say things like Merry Christmas to anyone without somebody getting offended. I mean, people are so ridiculously easily offended. I mean, but of course, I shouldn't be surprised by that, because political correctness, it's been infiltrated in everywhere you can think of. I mean, it's in our public schools, it's in our universities, it's in government, it's in even our churches. I mean, it's a fact. That's a big problem too. Is one thing that I will reference Uncle Lou on is he made a comment saying about, oh, you Christians wonder why the pews are empty every Sunday. Well, my church, they're full every Sunday, but of course it varies from demographic to demographic, of course. But I've seen plenty of articles too. Well, atheism is on the rise in this country. No, people, what's actually happening is all the fake Christians are starting to find their way out of church. Because at one point it was acceptable to call yourself a Christian, get in with that crowd, and eventually their true colors showed. They didn't like what they heard, so they left. So they were never Christian to begin with. They just got in because it was a fad, because it was a clique to them. They saw their friends doing it, like everything else, they joined into. Either that, or they left to some fake denomination. Because let's face it, there's a lot of Christian denominations out there who don't exactly follow the gospel. A couple big ones that come to mind: the Pentecostal, that's one. Episcopalian, a few certain select evangelical churches out there, United Methodists, anything that welcomes in things like homosexual marriage, for example. If you're a denomination that's not going to follow the scripture and stay true to the gospel, then in my opinion, you have no right to call yourself a church or a Christian church. You're a cult. Okay? Now, some people will be like, oh, well, what about Westboro Baptist Church, Sean? They call themselves a church, and look how evil and hateful they are. Well, listen, people, if anyone decides to bring that up, listen, they are a cult. They're not actually a church. That family is a family of lawyers who know the loopholes, and they're just trying to get the tax breaks and things like that. So again, people, just to wrap this video up, because I've gone way too long than I would have liked to, but I had a lot to say, and I know I was kind of all over the place, covering all these different topics, but the point that I'm trying to get at is I can see why even small situations like a cup at Starbucks would have Christians fired up. I mean, I think it's ridiculous that they took it that far over a coffee cup, but with all these things that are happening, with our rights being trampled on and taken away in some cases, I can see how some Christians out there would keep their guard up. I mean, we're seeing the powers that be in this country, as I've alluded to a couple times already here, excuse me, they're hypocrites. their whole ideology is hypocrisy. And the funny thing is, I never see anybody trying to take anything away from Muslims, for example. You always see, left-wing secularist groups going after Christians and, their symbols and whatnot, taking away like things like public prayer and all that other stuff I mentioned earlier. But you never see them attack the Muslims. I wonder why that is. I mean, I could easily say it, but last thing I need is for someone to be like, oh, well, you're racially profiling, Sean, and all that other nonsense that I hear. So look, people, that's where I'm going to wrap this video up for now. I'm sure I'll decide to do another one in the future, but I think that's a good start for now. This video is a good start. Just some things that I had to get off my chest, and I guess one of the main reasons I decided to do this video, and I forget who said it, but if you stay quiet, then, or no, that's not it. If good men do nothing, that's evil enough. And in my opinion, staying silent is doing evil. If you don't say anything, then you're gonna let everyone walk all over you and push you around. And myself, I'm not gonna do that. And just look, if to all those of you who have actually stayed towards the end of this nearly, well, going on 26-minute video, I just want to make one thing very clear. If I happen to lose friends or subscribers or regular viewers from doing this video, that's okay. I'm not sorry for any of the things that I've said here today. And I never will be sorry for being one who stands up for, Christian values and morals and stands up for Jesus Christ and the gospel. I'm not sorry for that. And just because the society that we live in is drifting towards, a sick, vile, and I can't even think of the right words to use. There's so many to choose from. But this non-Christian way of thinking, I'm not going to. And I'm not sorry for what I said here today. So, with that said, everyone, I'm sure I'm due to hear several different comments. Some mostly bad, probably, knowing my history of making videos like this. But it's okay. It's all right. I'm used to it. I've lost friendships and even some family relationships for sharing my views, and it's okay because the Lord comes first in my life. And like I said, I will defend him until the day I die and stand for Christian principles and values and the gospel. So before I start repeating myself, this is where I'm going to call it quits. Everybody, I say God bless. Have a very Merry Christmas. If you're traveling in crappy weather to see friends and relatives, be careful. I pray for your safe travel and all that. And until the week of the Fiesta Bowl, Merry Christmas and God bless from ND Sean 45. Take care, everyone.